So for me, now that I'm more busier and, I have a daughter, of course, it's 14 months old, my time's a little more precious. So I didn't, if someone on realtor.ca said I wanted to see this house, I would shoot up and just meet them there. And I don't know if they're qualified or not, but now I'm starting to.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. Again, you're too nice.
I know. Yeah. And I never drove clients around. I drove one set of clients once, and that's only because they were Spanish and I wanted to practice my Spanish. But
safety is an issue too.
So I was going to say, I've never just met with anybody. Again, a good topic. I think a lot of realtors do that.
Yeah.
I think it could be a huge waste of your time. Second, safety.
So I had one like that when I was selling. We were like midway through it. I was like, this is a really bad decision on my part to do this. So what happens, like, walk into the office. The guy was Saudi, like in town, had been in town 2 days. He's like, so my son got into college here. We need a rental place for him. So do you have anyone available? And I was like next to the front desk. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you guys out because there's no agent on duty. And he was great. We actually saw a place. It was like half an hour away in King City. And so I call up, book an appointment on the spot because it was vacant. He goes, great, I'll drive, let's go. Got into this guy's car with him, drove out to rural King City into a basement apartment in a vacant house.
So that's pretty, I think, really common if you are newer, male, or honestly just really eager to succeed in the business and you're newer. When you're new in any business, not just real estate, I think you'll just kind of do anything to get business, right? And it's the same as doing things like that and also taking on any possible client you can get. I would take on things anywhere, like it didn't matter price point, I would sell a shed. I mean, I still will. But
Sheds are going for
depending on location.
I used to sell for $99.99. Come on.
But we just kind of take anything we can get and go anywhere just because we're so hungry for the business. But I think it's so important that from the beginning you kind of set yourself up with standards for how you want your business to be, and also respect yourself and your time.
So 100%. The way I did ventures prior to real estate, and I learned that if you have your standards set, you'll only get clients that fit those standards. And if you are, if you're way too open, then you get the best and the worst. I mean, all my clients are great. I love them all, but
except for this one.
I would say that based on all the networking events and stuff I go to, some of the stories I share, I have definitely been in some of the roughest situations. But it's where I grew up. It's a small town. A lot of divorces, a lot of crazy stuff. Some clients have threatened and stuff, but that's just the way they are. And I can really do well with clients like that because I understand how to deal with them. So I like the tough clients.
But we attract, I think I'm really, really big, and everybody's talking about this now, it's kind of, super repetitive now, but being authentic. You hear it all the time.
Wait,
and
what's that?
I'm almost just at the point where I'm like, do we even know what that word means anymore? But I really, really do believe in, be as authentic as you can be. Show clients who you are, because you really will attract very similar people. Yeah. There's people that I won't work with.
Well, it's like there's people who will actually not engage with me because I have this show. Because I'm promoting alcoholism.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, you know what, but you know what, I learned, I've heard, now that I'm more successful, people in this small town, they're jealous. Oh, we got a roof all day. It's like, try to do our job. We all know it's not easy.
Yeah.
And we can't go to family events, and I don't, like, we can make a whole book about that
Don't
stuff.
have paid vacations.
We make it look good.
Don't have anything.
Right?
Yeah.
But
higher risk, higher reward.
Yeah.
But I think this comes up all the time with people, I think, that talk about realtors, whether it's they're looking to hire one and they can't believe how much we make, and you see it on all the Facebook groups, or real estate's a hot topic. People love talking about real estate.
Anywhere I go, any restaurant, any coffee shop, I hear them talking about it.
And they think we all make all this money, and sure we do. And honestly, there are times some deals I turn around and I think, holy crap, I didn't even deserve that. But you forget
it makes up for
the ones where you have worked your ass off and done everything, and there's times away from your newborn children and times away from family matters and all these other things, because you are so invested in somebody else's happiness and their outcome, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So people forget that, and yes, we don't have
that
pensions.
That stress goes on to our family and stuff like that.
Of course. There's a lot of stuff, but I really think I never feel more me, and I don't think realtors should, but I want people to understand with any business, you're gonna get ups and downs. It's not just realtors. Sure, we do make a good amount of money, and if you're upset about that, then go get your license.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, come join me. Come be my assistant.
I don't know what to tell you. But then you watch the drop and fail out rate.
Oh, it's like 80% don't make 2 years.
And then you realize.
And when you tell the people the actual numbers and how few agents last the 2 years, or how many deals that the average agent on the Toronto Real Estate Board gets.
But that's a very misleading stat too.
Well, it is. I mean, statistics are wonderful things. If you tell them, if you torture them long enough, they'll tell you.
But generally, I do believe the 80-20. If I look at my office, over 100 agents, I've been there over 2 years now. I know. Right? And like you said with the BRA, okay, you know what? It comes down to explaining. When I have clients, sometimes they're like, oh yeah, you're going to make this, or you lined your pockets. It's like, okay, then you explain how long it takes to get paid after the deal and how much you end up with, and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
They think you're getting the entire X%.
Everything is, unless
you just made 20 grand.
Your job is partially to explain that.
That's right.
So they realize that, and the other side of that is that it's whether we're a commodity or not.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 54,000 agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board right now. Adding in the other boards, Hamilton, Oakville, Durham, we're probably about 60,000 anyway. So what are you doing differently? Because if you're not doing something differently, then you are a commodity.
That's right.
A commodity trades at the lowest price.
That's
if the price of a barrel of oil today is $60, no one's going to pay you $100.
That's right.
Because you're just a barrel of oil. So until you step out and can say, no, this is what makes me different.
That's right.
You're just a commodity, and the person that's going to hire you is going to hire you at the lowest possible price, but that also means that they are loyal to price. So anybody that undercuts you by 5 cents, you lose them.
That's right.
Right.
So part of what we really have to be on the lookout for all the time is what is our UVP, our unique value proposition.
That's right.
And it has to be different.
Yeah. And one of mine is I stick with my clients through the things that the mortgage issues, the lawyers issues, and a couple deals lately I could probably write a book on. The lawyers haven't even seen it. Some guys in hacks that have been in the business 50 years have never went through what I did on a couple of these deals. But I say, you know what, this is what it is, but I'm going to be there till the end, no matter what. You can always reach me. We'll work on it together. I'm not just going to, say I'm too busy and not. But exactly, we need to figure out what separates us from the pack.
Best script for that is I will be your pilot. And yes, sometimes we're going to hit turbulence. But know that I'm never going to walk out of the cockpit with a parachute on and jump out. I'm with you all the way to the ground.
Yeah, and that is important. And when clients, go through those tough deals or those things, then they really respect that at the end of that, and they appreciate it, obviously.
But also don't forget to point it out. We're too easy just to say, oh, don't think about it. Don't mention it. Yeah. Oh, no problem.
That's right.
Well, what did you just do neuro-linguistically programming is to say it was nothing.
That's right.
And then you wonder why they don't appreciate you.
And sometimes it's nothing to us because we deal with 5 clients or 10 clients at a time, but this is just one time for them.
Right.
So it's totally different.
So that's a question, so go ahead.
The answer is thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
Right.
And is there anybody else that would appreciate that kind of service that you might refer to me? Take every opportunity. When you've got a BRA signed at 2.5, and I'm just using Rico,
there's no standard commission.
No standard commission. But say you're at X, and then you get a transaction, and they're only paying X minus a quarter. If you're like me, you're not going to say, "Hey, and you owe me a quarter."
Yeah, me
but
neither.
No.
Rather than not say anything,
explain it.
Say, "Listen, you might notice that our BRA is signed at this," never use the term BRA with a client, but our representation agreement is signed at this. They are only paying this. Now, the 0.25%, I value our relationship far more than that, so I won't be charging that. In case you notice it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're worth far more than that. Consider your housewarming present.
Yeah.
And they walk away going, oh, isn't that awesome?
That's right.
And too often we just don't take that opportunity, and then you wonder why you don't get referrals.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they don't even
giving
know
away
what we did for
something.
them.
And
No, so
nothing.
that was another question I was just going to ask is, do you guys believe in full transparency? People say that, yes, I'm super transparent with my clients, and they know that, but we really don't show them every step of the way and all the things that we are actually doing when we're not with them.
So
I think that's why there's so much misconception of realtors just make so much money, and all they did was show me 3 houses and I bought. Well, you know, with my clients, they know what I'm doing even when I'm not with them or showing them a house, or when I'm not, you know, with them and staging and dealing with offers. They know all the behind the scenes that happened before I got to that point. Whether it's social media stuff, networking to try and find a buyer, or mail outs, or whatever it is, you know, I make sure that they know every step of how I got to here.
Yeah.
See, and that's
so that it's never a question.
I've been looking at the
not knowing.
Disney way of doing it, where it's like everything that looks like it's happening is magic.
Can we give a shout out to Drew right now?
Yeah,
the book?
Because that book's amazing.
Drew, where's my book?
I started reading it like a year ago.
I thought we were
It's so
buds.
good.
Yeah, I've got the book. I've taken the tour. I've done the underground tour, the whole bit.
Yeah, but the whole idea being, have you read it yet that you got it?
I just started it.
Okay, so like as an example, like trash. They don't want people to see trash everywhere. So one, they figured out people won't carry trash further than 27 feet, so there's a garbage, or 28 feet, so there's a garbage can every 27 feet.
Yeah.
They want it to be clean, but even just carrying trash through the park is dirty, so all the trash emptied underneath into a tunnel so they can take out where no one can see it.
Yeah.
To people, it's just magically clean all the time.
That's right.
They don't see what's making it work. And that's kind of like how we like it, is like we show them like the result, like, hey, you have this beautiful clean park.
Yeah.
But you don't have to see that I'm sucking the trash out from underneath and carrying it through a tunnel.
Yeah, the Magic Kingdom is actually built on the 2nd floor,
Yeah.
and the underground, and I've toured it. And there's a great big huge pipe that runs all the way through. That's the central vacuum system. And after the parades, literally, they have the streets cleaned within so many minutes. Literally, they just push it into what looks like a manhole, which is the world's largest central vacuum cleaner, and it's gone.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, it is really quite impressive.
If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that I'm going to explain things more. And I guarantee that by tomorrow I could have 2 BRAs signed just by having the confidence to ask. Every time I've asked for it, I've got it.
Right, but I think that's not the point. So I think the point is not just saying, here's this other form, I need you to sign this basically.
No,
says
explaining,
right? But explain to them, I don't want you to sign this form because, I'm forcing you into it. It really means nothing in terms of making you stay with me. If you don't want to work with me anymore, you don't have
That's
to.
That's right, but it's not just
it can be for one property too.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have
and make
to
it
be
shorter. Just say
So-
let's go out for, if you somebody you don't know, make it for like 2 weeks. And just say, here, it's only for 2
Make
weeks.
it for the weekend.
We're
and at
not
the end of the
meshing.
weekend.
And it's
If you don't
only-
like me,
And the only way to explain it is,
Yeah.
what, like with this sign, you're kind of like, you're my A+, like I know that, the hours late at night or that I'm doing the research and stuff, I know that it's, you know what I mean?
I added a schedule to it of like, here's what all, because like if you look, so any of you have ever taken Barb Brindle's ABR course, like accredited buyer
I
lab?
haven't yet.
No.
I've
If you
taken
get a
that
chance-
course, but not with...
If you get a chance, like first thing she says when she gets in, she's like, if I were a consumer, there's not a chance in hell I would ever sign a BRA.
right.
It's the most incredibly one-sided document that's ever existed.
That's right.
And then it kind of eventually gets to the point where you're creating like a Schedule B for your BRA,
I like that.
what you do.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
okay, this is what you have to commit to me. Here's what I'm going to commit to you.
Yeah.
So I do that with my listings, every single listing, and honestly, this is how I get, I would say, 9 out of 10 listings if they're interviewing multiple agents. I have a cancellation guarantee.
Yeah.
And I offer staging, which is a big expense and a lot of time. And basically it says, I know it has to be the 60 days, so you can always cancel, but here's my commitment to you. It's in writing.
Yeah.
And, it's way too easy for agents to sit all at the table and promise you the world and all these things, and now it's signed and you don't hear from them for 3 days or whatever it may be. That's not fair, and I would never want that for me. So I always take it a step further and say, here's my cancellation guarantee. Although I'm promising you all these things, I have it now in writing. If you feel at any point that I'm not delivering what I promised you I was going to deliver, you can cancel.
And you don't put anything in there about being refunded for anything,
No,
right?
I don't. I have a lot of agents have said to me, you should definitely put, if they cancel or do anything prior, that you're reimbursed for staging and certain things. I don't.
No, I don't know.
Well, I have some terms though, because I'm not going to let another agent come along and say, oh, well, why did you sign with Rick for, 20%? I'll do it for 19. I'm obviously facetious on commission rate. But so there is a term that if it's listed at less, then they owe me the difference. So there's no gain in them finding somebody, oh, I would have done it.
The only thing I thought about is, I had a couple clients that, maybe weren't as motivated, and I invested a lot, and, sometimes it's easy for them to just say no, but I guess if you explain everything, what you're doing and how much you're doing for them, then they'll...
Honestly, I've had clients that say, well, I don't know, we're just kind of testing or doing anything. This makes me feel really bad signing if you're going to do all that for nothing.
Yeah.
So I think every situation is slightly different. And again, the fine print on mine is if I'm not doing everything I said I would do,
that's right.
which is this and this and this, then you can get out.
But even if they don't sell,
well, I'm not going to allow transfer to another agent. I'm not going to let them out.
Because I've done everything I've said I've done. And honestly, if I haven't, then you go hire another agent and I should let you out. I believe by my thing. I don't need hidden things. It really is. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm going to do. If I don't do it, I have no problem with you going to another agent because I really believe in what I tell people.
That's right.
And I think they have the choice. If I'm not,
but even if you are like take a listing like 2 months down the road they don't sell. Like I never asked them for money or anything from the idea of like if I'm marketing it the right way, I should be getting other clients.
You should get other deals out of it.
I should be finding other buyers. I should be getting other listings in the neighborhood potentially.
But you should be building a relationship that they would never question it otherwise.
And then you have to ask yourself who's and this is always the thing. And we lose a deal and you see somebody who you expected to list with you sign with somebody else, and you say all sorts of nasty things in your head about them. But really, you have to look back and say who's responsible for this.
That's right.
And if you have a listing that after 2 months is not sold in a market where things are moving in, say, 30 days, now there are some markets where, let's face it takes 4 or 5 months to get a deal, and I understand that. But if it's something else, then you've got to look and say, okay, but who allowed them to price it at this price? And you can say, well, they wouldn't have given me the listing if I didn't allow that. Well, then you allowed it. So you've got to stick up for yourself and say, no, this is the price, or you'll have to have another agent.
I prefer to be upfront in the beginning. I had a one listing, presentation in particular where they wanted to do like maybe 25-30% over. I nicely, said no. And then they said they were going to wait. When I followed up, they listed with one agent. I heard that they, really lost it on her. Another agent. 13 months later, they called Steven, and he literally said, get the F over here and put your face on the lawn. And all the hard work was done. I wasn't one of the 4 that got fired. And they were at the price that I told them in the very beginning, and I sold it for a couple hundred over asking. But
it's the same. It's best to be the second wife and the third agent.
I don't want to.
I'm still marrying the same woman for 33 years.
It's like I don't want to be the first. I want to be the last, and that happens a lot. But I don't tell people like to offend them. I just I'm honest, and I tell them, okay, we can go with your price, but if in 2 weeks we don't, if we get way too many showings, you're going to get more. If you get a few, but if you get like a lot of showings, no offers, you're a little bit. If you're honest in the beginning, then they'll. I've lost it out, but
explain in the sense of like, okay, like here's your price for it. Let's just try to get the most money possible. Here's one that's like, let's get pretty good money in a quick time. Here's, you need to sell today.
That's right.
Like I give them the option, like you could be different than your neighbor of what you want. Here's the pricing for your home.
So I learned that as well. Like I call it the unicorn price. So here's your price. Here's your unicorn price. You have no reason to think your home is worth this. There's no data. There's nothing that shows us that it's worth this. Here's where it's going to sell. And then we could take this route, go a little bit less, maybe attract some more, maybe it'll sell a little bit more, and then explain the value, or like the value on doing each one. And if you explain things to people, I mean, we're realtors, but like, don't give us too much credit. We're really not smart with the consumer.
Smart and rational, because some people aren't. Some people are emotional. There's nothing you can say, and then you have to decide: is that the person I'm going to work with?
That's right.
You have to look at yourself and decide what your standards are. And That's what, and a standard is something that is your baseline that you do not deviate from.
That's right.
So if your standard is X% commission, or your standard is I return my phone calls within 1 hour, whatever that standard is that you set, that's your standard. The day you take less or the day you don't return that call in an hour, your standard just dropped.
Right.
That's right.
And now we have a new standard that now we return calls in an hour and 15 minutes, and we take X most of the time, but we might take a little bit less. And that starts to slip. So, I'm sorry, this is my business. You know, I'm not a Porsche, but I'm not a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an Audi. I give really good value, give great service, but that's what I charge. And if that's not a fit for you, that's okay.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why we have a
And I mean,
Volkswagen
I have
dealership.
leads that come in often, and I follow up with them, and they keep registering. I follow up, and they're like, "My agent's so busy. I want to see your listing." And I don't say, "Well, let me show it to you," but it's like you're still loyal to that person when you're. I've called you 3 times in 2 weeks.
We already got them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And the answer is, listen, when your contract ends with your agent, give me a shout, because unfortunately I can't talk to you until that happens, because that's interference with the listing. And this idea that people call you on a
Well,
Sunday afternoon.
why don't I find clients like that are that
You
way?
will. You will.
I'm on vacation. I'll show you that house when I get back. It's not going to be there, but when I get back, I'll.
Yeah. Well, then you need to be responsible in having someone take care of your business.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I know.
That's your responsibility.
I've had 2 trips that I paid for in advance with no refund that I actually canceled to deal with last minute.
No,
deals.
you didn't.
Oh,
That's
I swear
unhealthy.
it. I
That's
swear I
super,
did.
super unhealthy.
But I mean, I was
You
newer,
can't do
so
that.
I was like, you know.
Well, I hope you learn from that. I hope anybody that does watch
Now I
this
know.
long into
Cancel.
over a pint, that you don't do that, because
Yeah, I
time
did.
to yourself is super,
Oh, yeah.
super important.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a real estate business coach, but I have had a life coach before. And one of the most important things was, what gives you joy, what restores you. Find that and don't give that up.
Yeah.
Because whatever that is what is going to help you thrive in everything else that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm super guilty of it, because I'm not a team, I don't have an assistant, and I've gone on family trips that are supposed to be family time.
Yeah.
And I'll meet you at the pool, see you in 2 hours. I'm in my room and I'm doing that stuff, and I've done that the last 2 years in a row on our family trip. And this next one, it was, okay, you're just not going to come. This is what my husband finally says. And I really have to appreciate that you really need, if you're setting something aside, it may cost you money for sure to give away half your business to somebody that's watching it, but that's okay.
Yeah, that I don't like.
Right?
That
well, we know, because you love to throw money away. We already know.
I mean, everyone says that about me.
Well, you started off with that.
Just
That's
talk
deal
about
I
it.
spent
A whole bunch more people know that you like to
No, I had a colleague message me yesterday. And
If you're a coach or a vendor looking to find someone to pay you,
Steve's your guy. Steve's your guy.
I've been with most of them. No, but I did have a colleague yesterday that messaged me and said, "Hey Steve, that accountant you sent me to charged me $300." And I'm like, well, my accountant charges $150. Well, why did you ask me for a recommendation? Well, my accountant wanted to marry me, and I said no. And I said, well, you can't blame me that I sent you an accountant that charged you more money, because this accountant doesn't want to marry you. And, you don't care because you just throw money away. And I was like, that's irrelevant.
You're becoming known.